Hey, what's up, guys? I thought it'd be cool to do a little analysis of Bubba Watson here. I'm getting a bunch of texts and messages from people as he's about to win the match play, and obviously he's got one of the most unique swings on tour, and one of the only guys left that really, curves the ball a lot and kind of, he's kind of a shot maker and curves the ball around the golf course. So a little bit of a unique move. I guess a lot of bit of a unique move. So I just want to take a look at it and what does he do that that's a little bit different, and how does he really how does he make it work? How does he have all of these unique pieces that are a lot of people would say are no-nos or no good, and how does he make it work and and win these tournaments and hit these shots? So I think this will be cool. Let's take a look at what he does and how he makes it work. So I have the down the line video on the left. We'll go through a couple different ones. From the setup position from down the line, he's got a pretty normal setup from down here. The things that we're looking at in terms of balance point, stands pretty upright, maybe a little bit upright with the shaft location, but nothing goofy. This looks like a hole where he's going to kind of hit one over in this direction and then start to fade it back. You can see, and a lot of times when you watch him on the tee boxes, I mean, look where he's aimed here with his feet are kind of way over here, and it looks like he's maybe going to start it over here and curve it back. But all in all, at address position from over here, not too goofy. Again, he's not afraid to aim way off line of center. Most guys who are at an elite level that do curve it, if this is the middle of the fairway, they might aim, inside the edge here and kind of, curve one back maybe 5-10 yards. But this is a guy who's not afraid to start it over the trees over here and kind of sling it back. So let's take a look once he starts going back. Now, obviously during his takeaway, he gets the club head well outside the hands here, so here's his hand path, that club head obviously being this far outside and still kind of square to the arc or pointed down a little bit. It's a little bit unique. If we took Adam Scott's a guy that a lot of people use as the sort of normal good-looking neutral golf swing. If we look at, even though he's hitting an iron here, this would be sort of more traditional, right? So the club head would be basically even with or so the outside of the hands. Bubba obviously takes it way outside there. You can see his lead arm and his hands going away from his body here a little bit at address, no hinge whatsoever. And then once we get him sort of halfway back, once his front arm's parallel to the ground, the other unique thing about him is obviously he has a very vertical shaft position here. So this front arm doesn't go in very much at all. It stays pretty much out, compared to more traditional. With Adam here would be lead arm, his right arm here, I just flipped him around as a lefty, would be in more, and then his hand location obviously would be deeper. So there'd be more kind of in here, more in the inner part of his bicep there, or his left bicep or left part of his pec. And that would put his shaft location pretty more neutral, more towards the that was pretty brutal, more towards the ball, the baseline. Would be kind of more normal, where Bubba's over here is super vertical and pretty far in front of him. So it's a little bit different, but you'll see how he makes that work at the top. Now up at the top again, a couple of things that some people might not like compared to normal-ish, whatever that is. Obviously, Bubba's lead arm is pretty vertical, and his shaft gets really long. He's got a flying left arm, trail elbow there for him. I like a lot of that setup because I think it kind of shallows the shaft out nicely in transition relative to where he's at the top. Not everyone could manage this, certainly, but he can. You can see, like a lot of good players here, he obviously flexes that lead knee quite a bit. Loses some flex in that trail leg. That's all pretty normal, although he does quite a bit of it. More of a traditional backswing would be this arm would be closer to the shoulder plane. Obviously, this arm structure would look a little different, and the shaft wouldn't go nearly as far. So this would be sort of a steep, outside and steep looking backswing. But if you watch him in transition here, he's got a beautiful pivot motion, and he shallows that shaft out beautifully. So if you kind of watch here, where that shaft location is versus here, although his hands will be more in front, now he is aimed more to the right and he's hitting a fade, but in terms of the shallowing of the shaft, he's done that beautifully, right? I mean, that shaft is shallowed relative to the plane that it went back on a lot. They're pretty much the same there, right? Not all that different. Even though Adam went up to the top more neutral, didn't have to reroute it as much, and just kind of came back down. Bubba, even though he's got this kind of goofy backswing look here, he doesn't hinge it at all early, so he's got a lot of that hinge late. But look at the beautiful transition move. Look at that arm going from back here, this trail arm, and then how it just, because he does that, it kicks it back in front, right? Look at how he shallows that. One thing, and one of the reasons why he hits the ball so friggin' far, is when he goes to the top, a checkpoint that a lot of people use is from the top, once these knees go from here to, once they get parallel to the target in the downswing, so let's go boom, 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 boom. Once he gets about here, so here his knees are parallel kind of to where he's going. Look at where the heck his arms are and hands are still. So they're way back up here. So those lead arm and hands are way up there. Now look at Adam Scott. Now obviously this is an iron, but his knees are parallel now. And look at where his hands are at, way down here. Not that Adam Scott is the shortest hitter, nor does he need to change that, but man, you look at guys like that, and you look at a guy like a Justin Thomas. Let's see if we can get him over here, hitting an iron. And you start to see these guys who bomb it, you see the same sort of things, right? So by the time their knees get parallel during the downswing, those hands are still way up there. So let's see if we can get them in the right spot here. So up to the top, Justin Thomas kind of has the same thing, not as drastic, but he's steep going back. His lead arm's pretty vertical. Now watch, by the time his hips are parallel or knees are parallel, and it's more drastic with the driver, his hands are still quite a bit back. Now, a checkpoint that's normal would be, people are looking for when the knees are parallel here, the left arm is roughly parallel to the ground. That would be basically a normal checkpoint. You can see obviously Bubba's got those hands way up high. Shallows the shaft beautifully there. Look at how much rotation he's got. You can see the club's out in front of him here. Obviously as he's trying to hit a fade over in this direction. Awesome club face position here. This is beautiful. He got a ton of rotation. Trail arm stays back. This is awesome. A lot of hand action for him relative to what people would like to see. You can kind of see how much he throws it. You can even see the shaft's kind of pointed back this way, and the butt of the club over there. But he times it out. He times it out beautifully. If we take a look at the face on here, let's pull this over here. Again, a lot of sort of normal setup pieces. He's got a pretty strong trail hand, left hand for him grip. By where that V goes, sort of a more neutral lead hand grip. See a lot of good players with that. Their lead hand, for him, his right hand, or for a right-handed golfer, their left hand, their lead hand grip is a little bit weaker than that trail hand grip. That's something that you see, or vice versa. So his camera angle is not perfectly on where his stance line is. One thing he's not afraid to do is get a little bit of tilt going out of dress, maybe more so than the normal guy. We'll see if this camera stays pretty still. So he's definitely got a little bit of a move off the ball. One thing he does beautifully, which sets up his downswing position in terms of speed. This is something you can copy if you want some more distance. All of this stuff is action-reaction, right? So what you do at setup, what you do during the backswing, you're going to get the opposite effects of during the downswing. Now notice when he does his takeaway, look at when the shaft's parallel to the ground. He has almost no hinge whatsoever. Boom, boom, no hinge. So a lot of people will say, hey, by the time you get to your front arm parallel to the ground, you need to have the shaft about 90. Well, guess what? He's not even close to that at that point. You can see he's got way less hinge here than a 90-degree angle. It's even above parallel to the ground. So what that means is he's going to get that hinge late, right? He's going to narrow that angle. Look at that. Okay, now all of a sudden, now this angle looks like, whoa, like lag, right? A lot of lag or whatever that is. But look at the difference in the angle. So he's wide going back with no hinge, and then he gets a ton of hinge in transition. And now he's got a ton of hinge here too. That creates a lot of speed, right? Some people, lag is good for certain things, lag not so good for other things. But for speed generation, if you kind of get this wide, unhinged back look, you're going to get that hinging in transition look, okay? So that's something that's unique for him. If you watch kind of old Tiger, would get really wide like that, and then more narrow in transition. A lot of long hitters would have that look. The other thing he does really well is I love his leg work here. So look how internally rotated that for him, his right leg and knee kick in a ton. His heel comes up. And then what's the opposite of that? If it kicks in like this going back, what's it going to do? It's going to kick out and externally rotate in transition. He's going to be able to create speed. Look at boom, there. Now look at what he got. So there he was going back, and here he is coming down. Got the exact opposite. That combined with that angle that shaft is on, dude, that is speed. And that's part of why the heck he can hit the ball as far as he can. The follow-through pieces, obviously he has his unique finish positions, which I'll show you in a minute, that kind of look a little funny. But those are two pieces you want to match, right, is less hinge going back, get some hinge in transition. Now, you might not be able to coordinate the face angle and the loft and stuff to hit functional shots from there, but from a speed perspective, less hinge going back, let that knee work in, and then you'll get the opposites in transition. You know, his leg work looks a lot like Mr. Sam Snead. If we reverse him around, flip the video here, and watch his leg work going back. Now, Bubba's a little bit more exaggerated, but come on, look at this and look at this. Now, people say that's kind of a crazy backswing. Well, Sam Snead did basically the same things, right? He's kind of long going back. Sam did not have a ton of hinge here. Boom, boom. His right knee will come in quite a bit, like this, same as Bubba. And then as he starts to come down, that angle will narrow, right here. So we're starting to see the same things here and here. And let's get Bubba there and there, right? So the angles are a little bit different, but look at the leg work he's got. Look at the leg work he's got. Look at the changes in the hinge amounts, right? So a lot of the same pieces through here. Bubba obviously in the follow through is kind of working ball flight, so it looks a little bit different. But take it from Sam Snead and take it from Bubba, man. Less hinge going back. Let it kind of hinge in transition. Keep the width there. Get that lead knee kicking in, and then you'll get the opposite pieces sort of athletically in transition. That'll create a lot of speed. So sort of a unique swing here for Bubba Watson, but he makes it work. And if you can take a couple of those pieces for distance, might help you. So hope you guys like this, and let me know if you guys have any questions.